What is trading and who is a trader? Realities of the trading profession. In this episode of CeeLo Mindset Podcast, we aim to explore the realities of the trading profession. What do traders do? What is this job like? And what can we expect from it? What are the realities of the financial markets, and what achievements can market participants attain within what time frame? Is trading and being a trader a $1 million income profession, or is it all a dream and an illusion? And ultimately, are you risking your time and capital? My intention is to be frank, direct, clear, and without any exaggeration, introducing you to the realities of these markets and this profession. I am Sina Ebrahimi, and I have been a trader for over a decade. I speak based on my lived experiences during this period, which may not be universally applicable, but I strive to present universal truths from this field and familiarize you with them. In this decade, I spent roughly half of it as an independent trader with no particular connection to the outside world. Subsequently, with the growing public interest in this style of financial activity, I decided to create platforms and mediums to support less experienced or even seasoned individuals, as well as those interested in entering the financial markets. My goal was to share my experiences and build a community where we could discuss common topics. For years now, we have been working collectively. The points I raise in this podcast are a synthesis of my personal experiences and the reports and challenges shared by various individuals who have accompanied me over these years. Who is this episode for? This episode is useful for anyone interested in or whose attention has been drawn to financial market activities. If you are already a trader, it will still be beneficial. Whether you have little or a lot of experience, there are insights that can be fruitful. I aim to provide content that offers value to all segments of individuals at various levels of their financial market endeavors. So welcome to CeeLo Mindset Podcast. Let's get into the episode. What are financial markets? For those whose attention or interest has been drawn to the market, I'll provide a brief explanation of what we're discussing. The financial markets we refer to are global markets. Countries need a market to exchange their currencies, similar to how you exchange your local currency for dollars at an exchange office. This happens on a larger scale between banks, creating a very large market where major market makers, such as central banks from various countries, facilitate currency transfers and conversions. The Forex market. This market is called the Forex, foreign exchange market, specializing in currency trading. While banks are major players, smaller individuals can also participate with less capital, referred to as retail traders or brokers. However, we call ourselves traders because we trade. Trading means making transactions. We aim to profit from the liquidity of converting currencies like the pound to the dollar or the Swiss franc to the dollar, taking advantage of daily price fluctuations. With any amount of capital, big or small, we try to generate profit from these price differences. So a trader transacts various assets in different markets, the largest of which is the Forex market, where currencies are traded. We technically refer to these assets as instruments. Diversity of financial markets. In addition to Forex, there are other markets. You can trade precious metals, stocks of American companies, and even stock market indices from various countries, like Germany or the UK. From orange juice and chocolate to sugar, stocks of companies like Nvidia, Google, Facebook, and various currencies can be traded. These form the global markets. The cryptocurrency market. Alongside these markets, there is an emerging market called cryptocurrency, or digital currencies, where the same conditions apply. You can access this market through a gateway and start buying and selling various cryptocurrencies in different formats, such as spot and futures, each requiring specific capital for activity. So, as a trader, I trade a set of instruments or assets in a specific market, and my job is trading or transacting. The trading profession, dream or reality? Now that the basic concept of trading and who a trader is has been clarified, let's look at the prevailing views on this profession. Some believe traders are very well off. By learning to trade, they can earn substantial income, no longer needing to work for anyone, having control over their time, trading wherever they want, and quickly becoming rich and multimillionaires. In contrast, another view emerges after a brief entry into the market or increased attention on social media. They conclude that these are empty dreams and that the market will ultimately take all your money. They believe these are all tricks and traps designed to seize the small capital of individuals who think they can get rich overnight. Which of these is the reality? Or is the reality something entirely different from these two perspectives? It's time to discuss this important topic. Trading as a profession, the need for knowledge and skill. To answer this question, we must carefully consider the word profession. Generally, in any other profession, what do we need to be employed? Knowledge. We must know the basics about that job. Is merely knowing the basics enough for success? No, we need expertise and skill. Professional success depends on skill. Skill is the outcome of knowledge, experience, and repeated losses. I can achieve significant proficiency in a profession only when I possess adequate knowledge and, through repeated, continuous, intelligent effort and trial and error, transform that knowledge into proven experiences, taking their results into consideration. This is expertise, which is essential for any profession. So I'm not talking about trading yet, I'm talking about the profession itself. I need knowledge, and based on that knowledge, I must acquire expertise, the ability that requires repetition, practice, and questions and answers until I gain enough experience to achieve this expertise. If I possess the skill now, I can contemplate success in that profession. If I don't yet have the skill, I cannot expect success. The path to skill acquisition, self-study or apprenticeship. What should one do to acquire skill? In any profession, you would likely need an apprenticeship. If you want to be a successful mechanic, you need to be an apprentice. If you're going to be a master woodcarver, you need to work under a master, or you can pursue this path yourself. The difference between self-study and mentored learning. The difference between self-study and learning from an experienced person is like solving a puzzle. If I'm self-taught, I have a physical wooden puzzle in front of me that I must put together to understand the entire concept. With a physical puzzle, I can't tell if I've assembled it correctly until I've put all the pieces together, or at least a significant portion. I might assemble 40% of it, only to realize I've done it completely upside down and have to dismantle everything and start over. However, on an app, it's different. Each piece you pick up, if placed correctly, will highlight with a green border and make a sound, indicating excellent, you've placed the puzzle piece correctly. My speed in solving a puzzle on an app with this feature differs significantly from solving a 1,000-piece wooden or cardboard puzzle. So, learning a profession alongside an experienced person or learning it self-taught can have such a profound impact on reaching expertise. But again, it depends on your learning medium, and the choice is entirely yours to take the best approach. Time required for skill acquisition. Now that we understand this profession, like others, requires ability and expertise, how much time can we expect to dedicate to acquiring this ability? This again depends on you. However, if we pursue this path through self-study, I find it highly unlikely that you will achieve relative expertise in under 3 years. And if I were to pursue this with continuous interaction with an experienced person and a mentor, I don't think it would take less than 1.5 years at least. So any time frame we propose suggests that the digitized app-based path I mentioned can cut this journey in half. Therefore, the absolute minimum I can consider with all the mediums and facilities available today is that in the best case scenario, you will need 3 to 5 years to move towards becoming proficient and a skilled individual. And interestingly, this is generally true for other professions as well. So, trading is also a specialized profession that, like all other jobs, requires a significant amount of time to acquire skill. This is because a serious part of my success in this profession is related to my mental and psychological framework. We call it sentiment. Put this concept of sentiment or mindset aside for now. I have important things to say about it at the end of this episode. Vision and planning for trading. So, to achieve success, I need to outline a 3 to 5 year plan. If you think you can watch a few videos, grasp the mechanism, and then make a trade tomorrow, bringing $2,000 into the market and leaving with $5K, or risking $1,000 and making $10K, these might happen, but they won't be continuous or sustainable. The $2,000 that becomes $10K will certainly cost you $15K later on. This is because sentiment, meaning fear and greed, are among the biggest emotions involved in this market that will challenge you and ultimately crush you if you don't know how to handle these conditions, leading to the loss of your capital. Continuing life and trading. So that's where we are. I now understand that I have a multi-year journey ahead of me to reach a position where I can even contemplate success in the market, plan for it, and pursue such a dream. During this period, I see many people who message me or contact me saying they quit their job to get into this. This is the biggest mistake you can make. You don't even know if you're cut out for this work or if you like it. You haven't seriously experienced it, felt it, or faced its pressures yet. Why would you burn your bridges now and venture into something you're not even sure you're suited for? Sacrificing leisure for a goal. How long it takes me to achieve the expertise I've been talking about all this time depends on you. It's very important and necessary for me to continue with whatever routine I had, as if I hadn't made this decision, as if I hadn't started this. Night after night, after living my life, I used to sit on social media, Instagram, YouTube, watch series, movies, entertain myself, read books, listen to music, and enjoy my leisure time. Today, I decided to become a trader, to enter and try my luck, to see if I'm cut out for this. Now, I shouldn't have leisure time because I've chosen a goal. My leisure time will now be dedicated to my personal progress. This means I'll reduce or even eliminate that leisure time if possible, and instead of reading miscellaneous books, I'll study about this goal. Instead of watching miscellaneous videos, series, and movies, I'll dedicate time and effort to visual content and materials related to this topic and goal. So this is what I must do. During this period, while I'm supposed to gain skill, I'm continuing my life. I have whatever job I have, and now because I've chosen an important goal, I try to make my living conditions a bit more compact and organized. I free up time by cutting down on extras, so I can start taking small steps to achieve expertise, a profession, an ability, and see if I can succeed in this profession. Is success in trading worth it? Well, is there even success in this profession? Now that we've understood the initial realities, outlined the initial steps, and discussed what our expectations should be, is it worth sacrificing 3 to 5 years of my leisure and everything else? I won't sacrifice everything. I'll sacrifice my leisure, the things I can invest now, my time and energy, and I'll pursue this goal. Is achieving this goal even worth it? What happens next? Is there a bright light at the end of this tunnel? Or after all these ups and downs and navigating this path, will it ultimately be, at best, just another job, or even worse? Let's assess whether the outcome at the end of this tunnel is one that justifies this effort. Honestly, frankly, and bluntly, I must respond that it's better to compare professions again. Comparing trading to other professions. You either possess an ability, an expertise, and you can offer that expertise to someone else, expecting to receive compensation for your skill. You provide services, you have a skill, you know a craft, and you work for someone, receiving a salary. Here your asset is your ability. What about other types of professions? If you want to work independently and not for someone else, if you don't want the control over time, energy, and the do's and don'ts of business to be in someone else's hands, and you want to be an entrepreneur, what do you need? Here, you need skill, initial capital, and the willingness to risk that initial capital to take steps and bring that business to success. You must be prepared to risk all of that capital for this endeavor. Now, either you have that capital, so you risk your entire capital. You can't risk just a portion of it. If you want to start a business now, a company or a shop, it requires initial capital that you must spend entirely up front. You need to acquire property, have an office, a shop, goods, permits, all these incur costs. And you must pay these up front without clear certainty that the desired outcome will be achieved. And if you don't have that initial capital, you need connections. You must leverage your connections and credibility to request capital from individuals who trust you, allowing them to invest their capital in you so you can start a business and begin operations. So we have 3 models of investment in any business. Either my ability is my capital, or my money is my capital, or my connections are my capital. There are no other scenarios. So where does trading fit in? Trading can be part of all 3. The unique aspect of trading is that it has a 4th capability. Unique capabilities of trading. So any job I want to start carries these risks that I must accept. What about trading? If I start actively participating in the financial markets, if I put in the time and acquire skill, what do I need? Naturally, I need capital. You need money to buy dollars, to sell dollars for pounds, to profit from the difference. And the range of fluctuations for these currencies, specifically in the Forex market, is very, very small. They move by a few cents a day at most. How much dollar or pound do I need to buy for this to yield a significant profit that I can live on? I need substantial capital. Now, do I have this capital or not? If I do, I can rely on my own capital, using the skill I've honed over many years through repeated testing, reaching implicit and relative assurance that I can preserve my capital. And the unique aspect of the story is that unlike other professions, in trading, I don't need to risk all of my capital. If I learn good money management, I can risk a very small portion and still expect profit, taking small steps while preserving my capital. Capital attraction in trading. At the same time, if I achieve that expertise, there are mechanisms in these markets that provide you with capital. You can attract capital and with someone else's capital achieve desirable profits. profits that your own capital may not have the potential to generate. And this is the unique aspect of the story. I don't need connections to convince someone to give me capital so I can work with it and earn good profits. There are automatic, defined, and organized mechanisms in the financial markets that provide you with capital. You can receive these funds and, with the capital of another person or other companies, earn very desirable profits. And in fact, the vast majority of these profits belong to you. We've discussed strategies, but these are specialized topics separate from this podcast. Capital growth and goal achievement. So yes, once I achieve skill in trading, from that point on, I can embark on another arduous and tedious path towards growing my capital. Whether that capital belongs to others and I earn profit from it, I can eventually accumulate these profits and build capital for myself. Or I can bring in initial capital myself and start to grow it little by little. Well, I don't have $100,000 in capital. I don't have it to bring into this market. Even if I did, which I don't, I wouldn't have enough confidence to bring $100,000 of my assets into this market. Yes, you can use investor capital. You can take $100,000 from an investor and achieve very desirable profits. So even if I can manage to gather $1,000 in capital, once I've achieved the skill and the self-confidence that I can preserve this capital and strive for its profitability, I can then move toward mechanisms that provide me with significant capital to trade, where I get to keep a substantial share of the profits. From daydreaming to reality, the 7-year blueprint. It is easy to feel discouraged when your $1,000 portfolio yields only $20 or $50 per trade. You might ask yourself, is this what I worked so hard for, to settle for pocket change? The answer is a definitive no. You should not be content with these small amounts, but you must respect the process. Achieving an extraordinary life through trading is not a sprint. It is a disciplined 7-year marathon. Years 1-3, the skill phase. Your only job is to master the craft. Don't look at the dollar signs, look at the percentage of your growth and the consistency of your execution. Years 3-5, the psychological phase. Here you build confidence by trading your own capital. You learn to handle the emotional weight of real-world fluctuations. Years 5-7, the scaling phase. Once your track record is proven, you transition from trading your own $1,000 to managing significant investor capital. This final stage is where the dream becomes a mechanical reality. While other professions have a glass ceiling, the financial markets offer a unique mechanism for exponential growth, provided you have the grit to endure the first few years of small wins. Market competition and a realistic perspective. However, we are talking about a market where reports from retail traders, reports provided by brokerage firms, indicate that over 95% of individuals who enter this market exit with losses and are pushed out. So, I am in fierce competition with individuals in this market, and I could easily be among that 95% or even more. But why should the fact that over 95% of people are exiting this market with losses lead me to easily compare myself to that 95% and say that I too have no other future ahead of me? In my opinion, that's naive. Of this 95%, I can confidently say that at least 50% are just there for entertainment, for exploration, for figuring things out, for testing, for taking risks, as if they've entered a casino, trying once to see if it works. They've come into these markets. So, don't let that number scare you too much. 50% of them are you, if you're not in this market now and you come in blindly and lose money. Or they are you, if you're currently trading, preserving your capital, your profits aren't significant, or you're making small losses. Remember your early days. 50% of this market, in any of these markets, are in their early days, blindly trying their luck without any knowledge or expertise. Light at the end of the tunnel. If we set this percentage aside, the situation isn't bad at all. You are in competition with yourself, not with anyone else. And this realistic plan, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, each taking at least 2 years. If you plan for it, if you have foresight about it from now, if you accept it and dedicate thought to it, if you don't daydream, if you come to terms with reality and engage with it, if you follow this path, then why not? In fact, the subsequent phases can lead to a significantly greater acceleration of growth and profitability than any other profession. So yes, the dream of a millionaire life for someone who has been in the market for 3 or 4 years is a reality that is achievable and accessible for someone who has invested their experience, skill, time, and energy. Thus, at the end of this tunnel, there is an extraordinary life that we are all moving towards, and at the same time, this entire path is a dark tunnel, and you must move slowly and steadily from this darkness towards that light. And I too, after more than 10 years of activity in this market, am still moving towards the end of the tunnel. This is because these These various phases I just outlined took a very long time for me. When I started, there was no mentor, no information, and for every lesson and experience from the market, I had to lose 1 trade, 2 trades, or even 10 trades until I finally understood why I was losing and stopped those losses in my next trade. My first 5 years took a very long time. But fortunately for your generation, with various mediums, different trainings, and diverse content, the task is not very difficult, although at the same time, it is also very difficult. Why? Because amidst a vast amount of scattered and disjointed information, you reach an inefficiency in learning. You don't know if this person is telling the truth or that person, and which direction your path should take. These are the challenges you face, and I did not. Controlling yourself, not the market. So, we learned what trading is, we understood who a trader is, and we provided an account of what the path to becoming a trader is like, similar to any profession, and what expectations we can have. But this work has some desirable characteristics. The risk of success is high, meaning it's likely that you won't achieve success. However, it largely depends on your challenges, your experiences, your efforts, and your effective activity. But if you can overcome yourself, you don't need to overcome the market. In these conditions, in this market, we don't overcome the market. We want to overcome ourselves. We want to be able to control ourselves. When it's time to buy, when it's time to sell, when we should sell, when we shouldn't sell. These are decisions we must make, and we must have control over ourselves to make these decisions correctly, not under bad conditions with bad sentiment. Trading psychology and money management. If you plan and strategize this path with the realities I've described, then yes, you can pursue these goals after gaining good skills in analysis and, more importantly, in trading. If you haven't reached this skill level, you are not yet in a position to expect to achieve these successes, nor to dismiss them as dreams if you don't achieve them. You haven't even reached that phase yet. You must reach the skill phase. Only then can you debate with another trader whether we are wasting our time and this market is someone else's business, or if it is possible to achieve results and plan a desirable life based on our fundamental and main profession, which is trading. And as I mentioned, finally, let me add a point about sentiment. From this point onwards, for those interested in entering the financial market, this topic might be a bit premature. I am addressing those who currently have some experience in the market. But before we set aside the less experienced friends, let me say that the algorithm effective in the outcome of our decisions for success is such that something less than 30% of our analysis is effective. Something around 30 to 40%, meaning we can say 50% of the work. More than 50 to 70% of your trade success relates to your psychology, to controlling your emotions, fear, and greed. That is, trading psychology is important, 50 to 70%. The remaining 30-40% can be divided between your analysis and your money management. A very significant part of your success is related to your psychology. After that, the most important is trade management, which has various sub-branches such as money management, risk management, profit management, all of these. And finally, the analysis you conducted, expecting the market to be bullish or bearish. Remember, your mindset is your most valuable asset in this market. That's why we focus this podcast entirely on the psychology of trading. If you want to master your emotions and scale your trading, hit subscribe and join our community. I'm looking forward to reading your feedback in the comments. Don't forget to like this video to support the channel. Stay disciplined.